Hey, pre-algebra, welcome back after a long weekend. I hope you enjoyed some nice days off from work for a little while. We're going to review lesson 9.4 today, so I'm not going to do all of these practice problems that I've put before you today on this video, but just a couple to remind you of what to do. And then we'll do at the end of the video, don't miss them, we'll do a bunch of the problems right out of your work too, okay? So, remember, we want to write these bases with positive exponents, right? Remember how we do that? Remember we put it over 1, and then in order to make a variable positive, you flip it to the bottom, right? You flip it upside down, and then it becomes positive, just like that, right? So notice we'll do one more. Here's one with just a variable, right? You put it over 1 and then flip it. Flipping something upside down makes its variables positive, okay? Don't forget if there's parentheses. Some of you forgot to put those parentheses in on your work the other day. You do need those as part of your answer too, okay? So put it over 1 and then flip it. Keep those parentheses. Okay, always keep parentheses. Because otherwise, here's why parentheses are important. This would be negative 12 squared, which would be 144, whereas this would be 12 squared negative, which would be negative 144. Do you see the difference? There is a difference, so that's why those parentheses matter. This one means negative 12 times negative 12, which would be positive 144. This one means 12 times 12, then with a negative sign added at the end. So those parentheses matter, okay? So if they have parentheses on your problems, keep them. Okay, now they want you to go the opposite way. Notice these ones all have positive exponents. They want you to write them with negative exponents. So do it the same way. Flip it, right? So it would become 2 to the negative 10 over 1, or in other words, 2 to the negative 10, right? As your final answer. Same on this one, right? They want it to be written with a negative exponent this time, so we'll flip it over and then make our exponent negative, and that really just equals this, right? We can get rid of that 1 on the bottom there, okay? And here's one with a variable, just one quick one. So flip it upside down, right, and make the variable negative, so then it really just equals that, okay? I think you guys will do fine on those. Okay, but remember what to do. There's at least one of them on your worksheet that would be doing like this, that has no variables at all. You need to think of a number that multiplied times itself twice or 3 or 4 times that equals that, right? Can you think of one? What number times itself equals 36? I can think of one. 6 squared, right, is the same thing as 36. So now I can flip that upside down and make it negative, and there we go. Okay, let's do one more like that. Let's do this one right here, okay? Can you think of a number times itself once or twice or a bunch of times that equals 27? Let's see. How about 3? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, right? So 3 to the 3rd power, right? And then if we flip it, they want us to write with a negative exponent. So if we flip it upside down, we can make the exponent negative. And so there's our final answer, right? Then there's some on your worksheet where you need to evaluate each expression, okay? And so you're going to slide in what these variables stand for into the problem and then solve, okay? So like this one, for instance, we'd slide in a 3 in parentheses to the negative 3rd power. So they want us to evaluate it. That means fully solve it. Remember when you see that fancy E word, you should fully solve it. Do all the math. So first let's make this power positive, right, by flipping it upside down. And hey, we just did 3 to the 3rd power on the last slide, right? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So your final answer for this one is 1 over 27. Let's do one more example like that. Notice this one's got the y power missing. And so this would be 4 to the negative 2 power, right? So as we slide that in where the y was. So I need to make the power positive by flipping it upside down, right? And then making the power positive, and then doing the math. Don't forget to do all the steps because they want us to evaluate. 4 squared is 16, right? So there's your final answer. Let's do one more. How about one that's got a couple steps? This is x times z, so 3 times 4 to the negative 2 power. Now notice this is all in parentheses, so we should do that all first. So we get 12 to the negative 2 power. Don't want to leave a negative power, so I need to put it over 1 and flip it, right? And then don't just leave it like that. Do the math because they want us to evaluate. 12 times 12 is 144. So there's our final answer, okay? So that's how you evaluate. I'm going to skip this word problem for today, and I want to go right to our work. Let's do a couple. Remember, you're only doing the odds of your work today, okay? So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and such. Let's do a couple together. How about number 1? 3 to the 4th power. They want you to write it with a positive exponent. It does not say evaluate, so you don't have to fully solve. So we're going to put it over 1, and we're going to flip it. And then we can leave it like that because these ones don't say evaluate, right? How about 5? Because it's got parentheses. I don't want you to forget your parentheses today, okay? So let's put it over 1, and then let's flip it. So it becomes positive. Leave those parentheses in there, right, just like they had it, okay? I'm going to jump down to the middle section. I think you guys will do just fine on that top section. Now they want you to write your answer with a negative exponent, okay? So most of these already have an exponent on them. I want to let you do number 23 on your own because that one doesn't. Think of a number that can be squared or cubed or whatever to equal 25, okay? But let's do 13. So if we want to make this a negative exponent, we'd flip it, right? So we'd put 8 to the negative 2 over 1, or in other words, just 8 to the negative 2, right? How about one more? How about 21? I want to write this with a negative exponent, so I'm going to flip it, right, to make my next exponent change. There, I flipped it, so I can just write it like that. I can get rid of that one then, 3 to the negative 2 power. All right, let's do a couple where we have to plug in some things, substitute in some pieces. How about 25? Okay, y to the negative z. Ooh, they want us to put in a couple. So for y, we'll put in 2, and then to the negative z power. So to the negative 3 power. In other words, 2 to the third power. You guys know that 2 negatives make a positive, so this is really like 2 to the third power. So just 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. That was a weird one. Glad I did that one with you guys. How about number 27? Let's do that one. X to the negative 8 power. So x is 1 to the negative 8 power, right? All right, and so we need to fix that. We can't leave a negative power, so we're going to put it over 1 and then flip it so it becomes this. But what is 1 to the 8th power? Isn't that just 1? So 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, 8 times, it's still going to just be 1. So you end up with 1 over 1, or in other words, just 1. Another kind of a bizarre one. Maybe this next one will be a little more normal, 29. Z to the negative 3 power. All right, this one's a little more normal. Negative 3 to the negative 3 power, okay? So first things first, I got to get rid of this negative 3 power, right? So we're going to put it over 1 and flip it, right? So it becomes 1 over negative 3 to the third power, right? And then negative 3 to the third power, what would that be? Negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Well, negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. And 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. So there's our final answer. Hopefully that gets you going a little bit. Don't be afraid to contact me if you have any questions, but that's quite a few of the problems that you're going to do on your own that we just did together. You'll have to go back and do the other ones. Have a good day, guys.